Hello, I'm Essay, your AI essayist. Please note that all content, audio and video in this presentation are AI generated. As AI can sometimes produce inaccuracies, I encourage you to verify any factual information presented. With that in mind, let's begin.
Here begins the essay, Al-Kindi's treatise, on deciphering cryptographic messages, composed circa 850, represents a foundational contribution to the field of cryptanalysis. This essay embarks on a comprehensive evaluation of the arguments and claims within this seminal work, examining its core tenets, methodological approaches, and enduring significance. The analysis proceeds section by section, dissecting Al-Kindi's reasoning and placing it within the historical context of 9th century intellectual thought. Section 1 Introduction to Cryptography and the Importance of Cryptanalysis. The initial portion of Al-Kindi's work establishes the context for the study of cryptography. It articulates the inherent need for secure communication, particularly in matters of state and the transmission of sensitive information. Al-Kindi emphasizes the duality of cryptography, its utility in safeguarding secrets, but also the necessity to penetrate such safeguards when national security or other compelling interests demand it. This introduction is not merely a preamble, it frames cryptanalysis as a vital intellectual pursuit, possessing practical importance equivalent to cryptography itself. It presents an earlier argument for the ethical considerations surrounding code breaking, suggesting its legitimacy depends on the justification for accessing the protected information. This perspective aligns with the political realities of the Abbasid Caliphate, where maintaining authority required both secure communication and the ability to decipher the communications of potential rivals or dissidents. Al-Kindi positions the science of cryptanalysis as inherently tied to political power and stability, a concept quite relevant given the tumultuous nature of the era. Section 2 A critique of previous cryptographic methods. Al-Kindi then moves to an implicit critique of cryptographic practices prevalent before his time. While he does not explicitly name specific methods, the treatise implies that existing techniques were often simplistic and readily vulnerable. The implicit assumption is that many ciphers relied on predictable patterns or easily exploited substitutions. He alludes to the notion that prevailing approaches lacked sophistication, thus emphasizing the imperative for more robust and scientific methods. This critique, even in its subdued form, is a crucial step in positioning his work as a departure from established practices. Al-Kindi's arguments imply prior methodologies were far removed from a sound mathematical or statistical underpinning. The value of this section stems from its tacit declaration of a new standard, suggesting that previous approaches were inadequate and a more rigorous system is required. This new standard necessitates a deeper understanding of the frequency distribution of letters, moving away from ad hoc methods of encryption. Section 3 The discovery of letter frequency analysis. The pivotal contribution of Al-Kindi's treatise lies in its exposition of letter frequency analysis. He posits that by examining the relative frequency with which letters appear in a given language, one can deduce the corresponding substitutions in a monoalphabetic cipher. This is the crux of his argument and represents a groundbreaking innovation in cryptanalysis. Al-Kindi's insight stemmed from the fundamental observation that the frequency distribution of letters is not uniform. Some letters occur more frequently than others. This deviates from the assumption that ciphers obscured this distribution. The implications of this discovery are far-reaching. It transforms cryptanalysis from an art or intuition to a quantitative, evidence-based science. Al-Kindi does not simply state this idea, he provides a detailed methodology for its implementation. He emphasizes that the analysis should be based on a sufficiently large sample of text to ensure the accuracy of the frequency distribution. This emphasis on statistical validity is remarkable for its time and demonstrates an understanding of the principles of data analysis. It's worth noting that while the concept appears straightforward today, its revelation at the time held revolutionary potential. The ability to systematically break codes based on letter frequencies presented a significant shift in the power dynamics of information control. Section 4 Methodology for decrypting monoalphabetic ciphers. Al-Kindi proceeds to outline a methodical approach for decrypting monoalphabetic ciphers using letter frequency analysis. He advises that the frequency of letters in the ciphertext be compared to the known frequency distribution in the original language. The most frequent letter in the ciphertext is assumed, initially, to correspond to the most frequent letter in the language in Arabic. This is often the alif or lam. The subsequent letters are then analysed in order of frequency, allowing the cryptanalyst to gradually reconstruct the original message. Al-Kindi's approach involves a process of iterative refinement. He understands that the initial assumptions should be tested and potentially revised as more information becomes available. He suggests trying different mappings and evaluating the resulting text for meaningful patterns or recognizable words. This understanding of iterative refinement is a significant aspect of Al-Kindi's methodology and demonstrates a sophisticated grasp of the problem-solving process. The method demands considerable patience and attention to detail. Al-Kindi does not suggest this is an automated or instantaneous process, rather, it requires diligent application of the principles he has outlined. Section 5 Considering context and linguistic patterns. Recognizing that letter frequency analysis alone may not always be sufficient, Al-Kindi introduces the importance of contextual information and linguistic patterns. He points out that the frequency of letters can vary depending on the subject matter. He suggests considering common words or phrases that may appear in the ciphertext, which can provide additional clues to the underlying substitutions. This demonstration highlights Al-Kindi's understanding of the intricacies of language. He acknowledges that statistical analysis needs to be complemented by a deeper understanding of linguistic context. This element of contextual analysis is a crucial refinement to his methodology. It acknowledges that the human element remains important in cryptanalysis, even with the application of statistical techniques. By considering common words, phrases, and potential subject matters, the cryptanalyst can reduce the search space and increase the likelihood of successful decryption. He emphasizes the importance of creativity and intuition in the cryptanalysis process, advocating for a balance between mathematical rigor and human judgment. Section 6 Addressing ciphertext ambiguity and limitations. Al-Kindi openly acknowledges the presence of ambiguities or limitations in the application of frequency analysis. He recognizes that some ciphers might be deliberately designed to obscure letter frequencies, or that short ciphertexts might not provide sufficient statistical data. He understands that the effectiveness of frequency analysis is dependent on the characteristics of the ciphertext, and that other techniques may be required in certain circumstances. This admission of limitations is a significant aspect of Al-Kindi's intellectual honesty. He does not overstate the efficacy of his method, but rather provides a balanced assessment of its strengths and weaknesses. He implicitly calls for the development of more sophisticated techniques to address the limitations of frequency analysis, anticipating future advancements in cryptography and cryptanalysis. This section establishes a level of integrity, admitting the technique's shortcomings. It also helps temper any potential misuse or over-reliance on the methodology. It promotes a more measured and informed application. Section 7 The role of vowels and consonants. Al-Kindi discusses the roles of vowels and consonants in deciphering, particularly as they hold unique frequency profiles and positions across different word structures. Vowels, though fewer in number, tend to exhibit high frequencies, and their positioning provides valuable clues about word boundaries and grammatical structures. Consonants, in contrast, often possess lower frequencies but display more consistent patterns within words. Understanding these variances aids in correctly mapping ciphertext letters to their plaintext equivalents. Al-Kindi's argument is subtle but important, highlighting the need to consider the unique statistical characteristics contingent to both vowel and consonant distributions within a language as one performs the decryption. This nuanced understanding underscores his familiarity with linguistic structures and their consequent effects via the frequency analysis process. Section 8 Considerations for ciphertext length and statistical accuracy. Al-Kindi emphasizes the critical relationship between ciphertext length and the accuracy of statistical analysis. He correctly observes that the reliability of letter frequency analysis increases with the length of the encrypted message. Shorter ciphertexts, conversely, might yield skewed frequency distributions due to random variations, leading to inaccurate decryption attempts. This assessment represents more than a simple observation. Al-Kindi's remark reveals an understanding of statistical principles, specifically the relationship between sample size and statistical validity. He advises that cryptanalysts should exercise caution when analyzing short ciphertexts and potentially seek supplementary information or methods to refine their analysis. The length requirement creates a practical constraint on the technique. Al-Kindi's acknowledgement of the necessity for larger message sizes offers insight into potential vulnerabilities of encrypted communication schemes. Section 9 Application to different languages and scripts. While Al-Kindi's work is primarily focused on the Arabic language, he implicitly suggests that the principles of frequency analysis can be extended to other languages and scripts. He acknowledges that the specific frequency distributions will differ from language to language, but the underlying concept of identifying statistical patterns remains applicable. This implies an understanding of the universality of linguistic structure. He does not explicitly detail the adaptation of his method to other languages, but the implication is nevertheless clear. Subsequent cryptanalysts have indeed applied frequency analysis to a wide range of languages, confirming the validity of Al-Kindi's intuition. The universality of linguistic structure is something to consider. Al-Kindi promotes the concept of universal applicability. Section 10 Practical examples and case studies inferred. While the extant copy of Al-Kindi's treatise lacks explicit examples or case studies, it can be inferred that he applied his methods to practical cryptographic problems. He likely demonstrates the effectiveness of his techniques through real-world decryption efforts. The inclusion of specific examples, were they available, would undoubtedly add further weight to his claims. However, the relative absence of explicit examples is probably due to the sensitive nature of the information involved. Revealing specific case studies might have compromised the security of existing cryptographic systems. Therefore, Al-Kindi may have avoided the inclusion of examples for reasons of state security. Section 11 Potential countermeasures to frequency analysis. Al-Kindi does not delve into potential countermeasures to frequency analysis in great detail. However, he alludes to the possibility of employing techniques to obscure letter frequencies, essentially anticipating a later development of more advanced cryptographic methods. He understands that cryptanalysis and cryptography are engaged in a perpetual cycle of innovation and counter-innovation. This anticipates the development of polyalphabetic ciphers, which employ multiple substitution alphabets to thwart frequency analysis. His awareness of the limitations allows him to infer countermeasures, illustrating his deep understanding of the underlying principles of both cryptography and cryptanalysis. Al-Kindi's commentary is forward-looking. He recognizes future advances in cryptography. Section 12 The importance of secrecy and secure key management. Al-Kindi, though primarily concerned with cryptanalysis, implicitly recognizes the importance of secrecy and secure key management in cryptography. He understands that even the most sophisticated cipher can be broken if the key is compromised. He emphasizes the need for secure communication channels for key distribution and storage. This highlights the fact that cryptography is not simply about the design of complex ciphers, but also about the implementation of secure protocols for key management. He underscores the holistic nature of information security, acknowledging that the weakest link in the system determines its overall security. The idea of secure communication channels is a point of emphasis. Al-Kindi advocates for a holistic approach. Section 13, Contemporary Reception and Influence. The contemporary reception of Al-Kindi's treatise is difficult to ascertain with certainty, however. Its subsequent influence on the development of cryptography and cryptanalysis is undeniable. His work represents a paradigm shift in the approach to code breaking. It shifts the focus from intuition and guesswork to a more systematic, scientific methodology. Later cryptanalysts drew on Al-Kindi's insights, refining and extending his techniques. The principles of frequency analysis remained a cornerstone of cryptanalysis for centuries, until the advent of more sophisticated ciphers. Al-Kindi's work influenced the development of cryptography in the West, as well as in the Islamic world. His legacy as a founder of cryptanalysis is firmly established. Historical records point to the work's lasting resonance, solidifying its position as a foundational text. Section 14, Connections to other fields of knowledge. Al-Kindi's work demonstrates the interconnectedness of knowledge across different fields. His contribution to cryptanalysis draws on his understanding of mathematics, statistics, and linguistics. His approach reflects the broader intellectual ferment of the Abbasid era, a period characterized by interdisciplinary inquiry and the synthesis of knowledge from different cultures. This reflects the intellectual climate of the time. Al-Kindi's treatise exemplifies the cross-pollination of ideas that was characteristic of the golden age of Islam. His achievements highlight the importance of fostering intellectual curiosity and breaking down disciplinary barriers. The interconnectivity of knowledge is exemplified. Al-Kindi's contributions are a product of interdisciplinary collaboration. Section 15. The enduring legacy impact on modern cryptography. While modern cryptography relies on far more complex algorithms and computational techniques than those known to Al-Kindi, the fundamental principles he articulated continue to resonate. The focus on statistical analysis and pattern recognition remains relevant in contemporary cryptanalysis. Moreover, Al-Kindi's emphasis on the importance of rigorous methodology and systematic inquiry is a hallmark of modern scientific practice. His insights are not directly applicable to modern encryption methods. His conceptual framework remains valid. The core of Al-Kindi's influence lies in the establishment of a rational, evidence-based approach to cryptanalysis. His work serves as a reminder that even the most sophisticated technologies are ultimately based on fundamental principles. The endurance of his legacy is remarkable. He established a rigorous analytical methodology. Section 16, Revisions and Interpretations over time. Al-Kindi's treatise has undergone various revisions and interpretations throughout history, reflecting evolving understandings of cryptography and the changing intellectual landscape. Later scholars have expanded upon his techniques. Contemporary interpretations often emphasize the historical significance of his work as a foundational text in cryptanalysis. The interpretations have varied, but the core principles remain consistent. The evolving interpretations reflect the broader intellectual currents of the time. Al-Kindi's approach has been a subject of ongoing scholarly discussion. Section 17, Critiques of Al-Kindi's method. Despite its groundbreaking nature, Al-Kindi's method has faced certain critiques, particularly concerning its limitations against more sophisticated ciphers. The vulnerability of frequency analysis to polyalphabetic substitution was quickly recognized. Furthermore, his approach is largely ineffective against transposition ciphers, where the letters are simply rearranged without substitution. These critiques, however, do not diminish the historical significance of Al-Kindi's contributions. The critiques serve to highlight the limitations of his method. The recognition of these limitations spurred the development of new methods. The critiques have been integral to the advancement of cryptanalysis. Section 18 Elaboration on the iterative refinement process. Al-Kindi does not simply provide a static methodology. He embraces the iterative refinement process. He encourages cryptanalysts to adjust their initial assumptions as they gather more information and encounter new patterns. He emphasizes the need for flexibility and adaptability in the face of complexity. This iterative approach sets his method and reveals his deeper understanding of problem-solving strategy. This is a testament to his profound grasp of the subject matter. Iterative refinement forms the foundation of problem-solving. Section 19 Linguistic nuances and frequency variations. Al-Kindi appreciated that the frequency of letters in a language can vary based on context, subject matter, and writing style. He understood that formal texts, such as official government documents, may exhibit different frequency distributions compared to informal correspondence. This insight reveals a nuanced understanding of linguistic variation. He understood that variations in linguistic context exist. These are critical considerations in cryptanalysis. The considerations add to the complexity of cryptanalysis. Section 20. The broader context of Al-Kindi's intellectual pursuits. Al-Kindi was a polymath whose contributions spanned a wide range of fields, including mathematics, philosophy, medicine, and music. His work on cryptanalysis should be viewed within the broader context of his intellectual pursuits. His interdisciplinary approach reflects the scientific spirit of the Abbasid era. He synthesized ideas from disparate disciplines. This facilitated groundbreaking discoveries. His achievements reflect the spirit of innovation. Section 21 Al-Kindi's influence on Western cryptography. Al-Kindi's work likely influenced the development of cryptography in the West through its translation and dissemination. Scholars in Europe later rediscovered the principles of frequency analysis. The transmission of knowledge from the Islamic world to Europe facilitated significant scientific advancements. The rediscovery of frequency analysis impacted the advancement of cryptanalysis. It serves as a testament to the power of cultural exchange. Section 22. The ethical considerations of cryptanalysis. Al-Kindi's work implicitly raises ethical considerations about the use of cryptanalysis. He understood that the ability to decipher encrypted messages could be used for both benevolent and malicious purposes. He understood the importance of using cryptanalysis responsibly and ethically. He was aware of the potential for abuse. He had nuanced understanding of the ethics of cryptanalysis. Section 23. The convergence of theory and practice. Al-Kindi's treatise represents a convergence of theory and practice. He did not simply develop abstract theoretical principles. He also provided a practical methodology for applying those principles to the decryption of encrypted messages. His work combines both theoretical understanding and practical application. It bridges the gap. It served as a model for future researchers. Section 24. The limitations of monoalphabetic ciphers. Al-Kindi's work served to highlight the limitations of monoalphabetic ciphers, thus spurring the development of more sophisticated cryptographic techniques. His work revealed the vulnerability of this cipher type. It triggered the necessity for more complex cryptography. These were the limitations of a specific cryptographic approach. Section 25. Al-Kindi's place in the history of science. Al-Kindi occupies a prominent place in the history of science as a pioneer in the application of mathematical and statistical methods to the study of language and information. He laid the foundation for what is now known as cryptanalysis. He stands as an important figure in the scientific method. His place in history is confirmed. In conclusion, Al-Kindi's on deciphering cryptographic messages stands as a monument in the history of cryptanalysis. His meticulous articulation of letter frequency analysis, coupled with his acknowledgement of contextual considerations and the method's limitations, signifies a profound understanding of both the mathematical and linguistic dimensions of code breaking. while subsequent cryptographic advancements have rendered simple frequency analysis obsolete against modern ciphers, Al-Kindi's enduring contribution lies in the establishment of a rational, evidence-based approach to cryptanalysis. His work not only served as a cornerstone for future cryptanalytic endeavors but also exemplifies the intellectual dynamism and interdisciplinary spirit of the Golden Age of Islam. The treatise demonstrates an inherent understanding of linguistic structures, offering significant effects on decryption processes.
We really appreciate you tuning into this AI-powered presentation. Our goal is to push the boundaries of AI in content creation, and your input is invaluable. If there's a particular subject you'd like to see us tackle next, or if you have suggestions on how we could fine-tune our AI's creative prompts, please don't hesitate to leave your ideas in the comments section. We're excited to bring you more unique content very soon.